What's up guys, it's me, your boy SteveRandom here, and in today's video I'm doing my top 10 best fall fragrances. Let's try to keep this video short and get into the list right away. Now firstly, I have some honorable mentions. First one is Pineapple Vintage Vanilla Intense. This one I just got yesterday and I think it would work very well for fall, but yet I don't know how it performs because I just got it yesterday. But based on the smell, I would say it definitely works well for fall, and it is an honorable mention just because I haven't, yet used it enough to let you guys know. Next up, I have Ombre Leather by Tom Ford. You might be like, what? Honorable mention for Ombre Leather? No way. And I have to say, the reason why it's an honorable mention is because I only have a sample of it. I don't want to make it, up in my top 10 because I only have a sample, and I don't think it's fair for the other fragrances that I have a full bottle of. But I would definitely say this one is definitely a heavy hitter for the fall, but I just don't have the bottle, so I can't really put it in the list. And lastly, you guys probably already saw, is Spice Bomb by Viktor and Rolf. This one I'd say is more of a winter fragrance when it gets colder, where you sit by the fire, get some warm, cozy vibes. This one would be a great one for that. But the reason why I just put it in this list is because, you guys probably heard of like pumpkin spice latte. You might be eating some cinnamon buns or whatever cinnamon related or spicy related is a great one for this fragrance because that works well with this fragrance. Now that the honorable mentions are out the way, let's start off with my number 10. My number 10 is Cacao Dreams by Alexandria Fragrances. Cacao Dreams has a nice, obviously cacao vibe with this nice caramel sweetness and vanilla. It really smells like a nice edible fragrance that you can pretty much eat. If I could eat this fragrance, it would really taste good. Don't do that though. Cacao Dreams has a really nice cozy kind of vibe. There's nice days where it's cold outside but you want to just sit inside, or it's like kind of chilly and you don't want to go outside, so you're like, let's just sit inside and sitting and watching a movie kind of thing. This one I would say definitely is a nice warm scent to have on, and all you need is really one spray of this and you've pretty much filled all the room up. Cacao Dreams by Alexandria Fragrances is my number 10. My number 9 is Superman by Jean Paul Gaultier. As you can see, the label kind of went, but this is Superman. The thing is, it was so humid outside and this was in my bag. The humidity just, got rid of this thing. Superman smells like a nice vanilla version of the Jean Paul Gaultier original Lamel, the one that looks like a greenish bluish bottle. A lot of people say it doesn't last that long, but to me this one lasts about 8 to 10 hours at least, so I would just say give it a try. It works well for the fall because it is a pretty sweet fragrance and it will be projecting versus that, slightly cold weather. That's Superman by Jean Paul Gaultier. Next up, my number 8 spot is Angelman Pure Malt. Now the reason why this is number 8 is because it doesn't last on me. The projection and longevity is very weak, but the overall smell is really enjoyable. It definitely works, for an environment that you don't want to smell too strong, but you want to smell nice. Have a nice unique fragrance that smells sweet and malty. That's Pure Malt Angelman at my number 8 spot. My number 7 spot is Dior Sauvage Eau de Parfum. Now the reason why this is on the list and not the Dior Sauvage original EDT is because the EDT can be worn year long, so most likely people are going to be wearing it and you're not going to smell as special as you want to be. But the Eau de Parfum is a little bit of a different scent, but it still smells like the EDT version, but it's a little bit different. It can be a little bit more unique versus the guys who use Dior Sauvage all year long. Dior Sauvage EDP has a nice warmness to the Eau de Toilette version. Has, added notes of nutmeg, some star anise, and basically it makes it more of a winter and fall kind of scent. So you're gonna have that regular Dior Sauvage DNA, but with a little bit more of a winter and fall added, scent, which makes it a nice fragrance overall for the fall and winter. That's Dior Sauvage EDP. Lasts on me for about 8 hours. It could last for a while, but for me, I lose it after about 5 hours, but I still sometimes get comments on it after 8 hours. So it's a pretty long lasting fragrance. This is Dior Sauvage EDP for my number 7 spot. My number 6 spot is Versace Eros. Now the reason why you might be saying, why is this on your number 6 spot, is because I think it's been reformulated and a lot of people have complained about the longevity. I personally myself don't have a big of a complaint for it because my bottle is about the early 2016, the batch code, that's what it says. But the early 2017 guys that purchased it, 2017, 2018, those have been having a bad longevity issue. All I can say is that most likely when you buy it right now, you might have a big longevity issue. So that's why it's at my number 6 spot, and that's why it's not much higher on the list. But for the longevity issue, if it wasn't for that, it would be much higher. For now, Versace Eros is my number 6 spot. You guys know how this one smells. It definitely works all year round, but it also works for the fall, especially the fall nights, or if you're going out to club on fall nights. This one works the best. Versace Eros at my number 6 spot. My number 5 spot is Acqua di Gio Profumo by Giorgio Armani. This one is a great fragrance that if you want to smell a little bit more sophisticated and different than everybody else, you want to have this warm incense kind of vibe, this one's a great example for that. Acqua di Gio Profumo has a nice citrusy but added with a little bit of incense to it, and it makes it smell nice for the fall. Overall, a great fragrance for a nice mature person that wants to smell nice during the fall, and wears maybe a business suit or a nice dressed up shirt. This one will be a great example or a great fragrance for that kind of person if you're looking for that. I know this list is going by pretty fast. I'm struggling to speak, but Chanel Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme is at my number 4 spot. This one is a very, very nice fragrance to have in that little breezy cold air. If one day it's maybe below 60 degrees where you live, this is a great fragrance to pull out because that nice tonka just goes through those nice cold winds. If it gets cold during the fall where you live, if it's decently temperature, if it's that perfect temperature between 60 65 degrees Fahrenheit, that's also a great time to pull this out. Sometimes I don't expect to get any comments on this one, but I sometimes do. No performance issues for me. I get about 8 to 10 hours. Just overall, it works well for the fall in my opinion. Chanel Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme is at my number 4 spot. My number 3 spot is Valentino Uomo Intense. This one smells like Dior Homme Intense, but more of a cleaner version of that, because Dior Homme Intense has a little bit of a strong lipsticky kind of vibe, and it can be sometimes too strong to the nose, while this one has that same exact thing but a little toned down so it can be pleasant in the air. Valentino Uomo Intense really works well for the winter and fall, and I would say definitely works well for a nice night out during the fall if you're going out somewhere. I would say it lasts on maybe for 10 hours plus. And yeah, it's a banger of a fragrance for the fall. Valentino Uomo Intense at my number 3 spot. Now we've come to my last 2 fragrances. Number 2 is Parfums de Marly Layton. Parfums de Marly Layton is a gorgeous fragrance. It's pretty much like a high-end. It's like you have those designer fragrances, but you want to have a niche version of those. This is the great fragrance for that because it has a nice sophisticated apple and vanilla and lavender smell that just overall smells very nice and gorgeous. It is a little bit more feminine leaning, but like if you don't care about that, this is a great fragrance to rock. Just smells so nice and gorgeous, and especially in those colder nights that you're going to be having, this one is a great fragrance because it does last on for a while, and it would be very nice in those environments. Maybe a girl might be cold and she smells this nice apple seductive fragrance that's coming through the air. She's gonna be coming closer to you, trust me. Parfums de Marly Layton is at my number 2 spot. What could be my number 1? We've got rid of Ombre Leather, which has been number 1 in a majority of lists I've seen. Ombre Leather, I would have picked it as my number 1 to be honest if I had the full bottle. There's a close smelling fragrance to it, but it has this nice little touch to it that makes it my number 1. Tuscan Leather by Tom Ford. Tuscan Leather smells just like Ombre Leather, but has more of a sweet raspberry touch and a little bit of a nice seductive leather versus Ombre Leather, which has a very genuine leather. This one, I would say, screams, fall, winter, whatever, sophistication, masterpiece. all those adjectives that you can personally use, I would say you can use on this one. This is a gorgeous fragrance if you're looking for a fall fragrance, or even winter, or even just having a fragrance that you want to smell every day, because this one is so addictive. I think I smelt it more like this than used it, because you know, right now where I live it's not as cold and it's not really the time to pull this one out, but I've just been smelling it over and over and over again. That's how good it is, and that's how addictive it is. You can get this one, but I would say you're probably gonna be wanting to get another bottle of this because of how addictive this is. Tuscan Leather by Tom Ford is my #1 for the fall and winter time, or even just the fall time for now. It's a great fragrance to have. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. That's my #1, Tuscan Leather, and look at that glare. Anyways, peace out.